No, I'm just texting a few board members, so everyone just hang tight. I know it's 4 o'clock.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good
Okay.
afternoon.
Okay, is everyone on? Do we have enough? Okay, let's see, Wilson, let's see.
We do. We don't need a
Yep.
quorum, but Mr. Tatum is joining right now, and that's everyone on teaching and learning.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francoise Darastel Ledger, and forgive me for having my camera off. I'm the chair of the Teaching and Learning Committee for Hartford Public Schools, Hartford Board of Education. And today is November 4th, 2024. And we are starting this meeting. Christina, can we please have the agenda up? Thank you. And before we get started, I always like to popcorn to see who's in the room and everyone's role. So I am going to, if you could just introduce yourself and your role and then popcorn it off to someone else. So I'm going to popcorn it off to Jennifer Hoffman.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me turn my camera on. Jen Hoffman, Assistant Superintendent for Special Education and Pupil Services. And I will popcorn to Daisy Torres Hill.
Good afternoon, everyone. I apologize. I am in the car, but I am Daisy Torres Hill. I am the Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning, and I will popcorn it out to Chief Barney.
Hi, everybody. I am Corinne Barney. I am the Chief of Schools, and I will send it to Natalie.
Hello, I'm Natalie Javier, talent recruiter in the Office of Talent Management on the recruitment team, and I will pop it off to Stephen Tatum.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Stephen Tatum. I'm on the Board of Ed as a member. And I just joined the meeting, so I am not totally sure who has already introduced themselves and who has not, but I'll take a random guess and pass it over to Lisa Massaro.
Yes, hi. I'm Lisa, and I'm the principal at Breakthrough North. Thanks for having us. And I can send it over. I can't see everyone, but I think Steve from 2 for 1 is on here too.
Yes, hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. Steve Boyle, I'm a co-founder and executive director of 241 Care, and we're a community partner, and we're on the agenda today. So glad to see you all. I will pass it over to, did we get Daisy yet? I see that's the next name I have. If not, I'll pass it over to my partner in more ways than one, Carrie.
Hi, my name is Carrie Boyle, and I'm the co-founder of 2 for 1 Care with Steve, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer, and we're happy to be here today. I'll pass it over to Nancy Williams.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nancy Williams. I am the Assistant Director of Recruitment, and I am going to pass it over to Holly Gustafson.
Hi, I'm Holly Gustafson. I'm the principal at Breakthrough Magnet School South. Sorry, I just got on, so I don't know who went already.
I can go. I'll just keep it going. I'm Jen Hockenhall. I'm on the Board of Ed, and I will pass it over to Stephen Wilson.
Hi, Stephen Wilson, Board of Education, and I'll pass it over to Tyrone.
Hi, everyone. This is Tyrone Walker, and I am on the Hartford Board of Ed as well. And let's see if I can. Let me hand it over to Paul Foster.
Hi there, everybody. Sorry that I'm also in transit at the moment, but Paul Foster, Deputy Superintendent for Administration and Operations.
I'll jump in, Christina Santiago, Board Liaison, and I will popcorn it off to Gus Jacobson.
Gus Jacobson, Principal at Noah Webster Micro Society Magnet School. Am I supposed to pick someone else? I don't even know who's been called yet. So sorry, I just jumped on.
I think, Connie, you're last but not least, I believe.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tan. I had some computer issues, so I'm jumping on the phone. Connie Nieves, Executive Director of Human Resources.
I believe that's everyone.
Great, thank you so much. And we will now jump onto the agenda. And our first item on the agenda is contract continuation approval, 2-for-1 Sports, Breakthrough South, EMS, Webster, and Breakthrough North. And take it away.
Thank you. That'd be me. And I do have the principals and 2-for-1 Sports on the call. So the schools that we are bringing to you this contract for are Breakthrough Magnet School North, Breakthrough Magnet School South, Noah Webster, and Environmental Sciences at Mary Hooker. Next slide. So as you can see, the funding source is the Magnet Extracurricular Grant, which is provided to us by the state. This would be the second year, and all of the magnet schools delineate how they are going to use those funds. So as you can see, the breakdown here for Breakthrough South, ESM, Noah Webster, and Breakthrough North for how they are going to use a portion of the funding for the Magnet Extracurricular Grant, with Breakthrough South using the most. And then, yes, thank you. So good. And as you can see, this is the connection to our DME, our district strategies, really where 2-for-1 Sports lives. And I think you can click again. It's like an animated thingy. Yeah, there you go. Is the student connection to school as well as connection to high quality teaching and learning, with a piece of the programming that 2-for-1 Sports offers. And so as a part of this programming, they offer various components that we'll show you on the next slide. And so the programming is in the middle, assessment is on the end. We also included the mission and vision for 2-for-1 Sports, so that it was very clear to everybody that it really focuses around student connectedness to school, but also physical literacy, nutrition awareness, and practical life skills as well. There's various programs, and as we get through the slides, you'll see how each school is going to utilize the funding. Some of the components are very similar, and then some of the programming is a little bit different. But they have before and after school programming. They have top self sports, with the top meaning thinking on purpose. That's where students are learning to identify how they're feeling, how they want to feel, and then they're working on self-regulation. It's also a comprehensive program that builds in physical literacy and social emotional skills. It's given before, after school. They use fields, gyms, blacktops, classrooms, and it connects to their core sports curriculum. This programming is also based on best practices and trauma-informed. It centers on mindset. It centers on grit. It has a cognitive behavioral approach. They use mini lessons and drills through play. And then it also has the physical literacy PALS program. which is school staff and administration select students to be trained in Top Self and the coaching model. This really helps, especially middle school students, develop leadership and also job skills. And you can see that they also have a girls leadership program. They have a summer program as well. And then the program is assessed through various surveys. So as you can see, student attendance and the district and culture and climate survey. And then the data that we provide you on the next slide is connected to the surveys that were given for 2-for-1 Top Self, and then just the regular programming. And as you can see, over 90% of the students felt that all or most of the time they became aware of their emotions, and that they were also given strategies to help them calm down, and that they felt that they were connected to a group and that they enjoyed coming to school. So over the course, this program has been in place for 2 years at the schools. We've seen at least a 20% increase in students surveyed. Then here's the breakdown per school. And so Breakthrough South, they're really going to focus on the Top Self program before and after school, as well as Super Saturdays, and that will serve 73 plus students. They are also going to have the Girls Leadership Group, which would focus on middle school and about 13 students. You can also see the data points where they have decreased their chronic absenteeism and increased students feeling connected to school and safe from harm. And that data comes from the District Culture and Climate Survey that is administered every year. Next slide. Oh. Yes, Breakthrough North. Thank you. So Breakthrough North, they are going to do the morning programming. They're going to include staff coaching, and then they also are going to work on the connection to their character theme through the Top Self programming. And they're going to serve over 35 students, which actually is up from the first year. And then they're hoping to increase that this year as well. And you can see that in their data that their 5th grade students felt empowered by their coaching of their younger peers, and that they felt connected to the content that they were learning in the classroom, and also their enrichment activities like student council, capstone projects, and that they increased the parent survey from 63% to 83% with having additional activities at the school outside of the regular school day. Next one is ESM. ESM is going to do Top Self programming for 3 seasons as well. They are going to increase leadership opportunities for the younger grades, and they are also going to include the middle school girls leadership program. So they are going to serve over 30 students in the Top Self program and 20 students in the middle school girls programming. And they too also decreased their chronic absenteeism, increased the average daily attendance rate for students, and also increased students and families feeling that they were welcome and had more activities within the school community. And then the last one, but not least, is Noah Webster, who is going to very similarly run a programming like Breakthrough South. They are going to have Top Self programming before and after school for 30 plus students. They're including, which I think is exciting and I can't wait to see, a fencing program for 25 students. And then they are also going to have the middle school girls leadership program for 20 students. And they have seen a huge increase in families feeling that their child belongs and is good at school, as well as students feeling that they have a connection to school and more activities within the school day. And next slide. And so overall, 2-for-1 Sports has been very successful for the past 2 years. They were featured on NBC. And Christina will get you the link to that feature. And Holly, who is one of the principal of Breakthrough South, presented at Magnet Schools of America with 2-for-1. Students who have attended the programming feel more confident and have a sense of belonging in their community. The students and families felt connected to the school, and we had an increase in student attendance at all 2-for-1 sites. And then I can open it up to questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I'm going to start with a question. Is there a way that we can get this into neighborhood schools, offer it to the neighborhood schools as opposed to just, not as opposed, but in addition to the magnet school?
Corinne, if I can, I will go ahead and answer that. Is that okay?
Sure.
Hi, Francois. This is Steve Boyle with 24. I'm not sure if you're seeing camera. So the good news is that was a question from the board, I think 2 years ago when we asked, and it's been a commitment of ours to get into neighborhood schools. So we have been writing into, like, this is magnet school money. So this is funding from a different source. So what we were able to do is, wanting to get into neighborhood schools based on the requests of the board, is we've done some fundraising and we've been able to raise funds to be at West Middle School all year without any cost to the district. We just got some funding from ESPN to get back into MLK where we were last year, that they're going to fund us to be there for 2 seasons. And we just applied for a large grant to be at Sand School. We won't know if we get the funding until February, but I don't know, actually that grant, we might find out sooner and we'd be able to start. So that would be 3 neighborhood schools that we'd have an opportunity. We'd love to be in every school in the city. The model is really taken off. In fact, Carrie and I were on a call with the organization that partners with DC Public Schools, because they're learning about what we're doing in Hartford and seeing it as a model for neighborhood schools as well as magnets.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And would you be, when I heard about coaching staff, so this would be teachers, or how would that work?
Yeah, so every place is a little bit different in terms of how we do the hiring, but it would be for the staff that get hired get trained in our approach to trauma-informed coaching. And so we've partnered with an organization out of Chicago called the Center for Healing and Justice Through Sport, who are by far the experts on trauma-informed coaching. And so we always do pre-training with the staff, and then what we'll do is we do what we call like a dress rehearsal with the PLP. So at K-5 schools, it's with 5th graders, and K-8 schools, it's with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, where they, alongside the adults teaching the program, get the same training, and we go through a dry run of what the program looks like, what are the 5 components of each program that we want to see, each of which starts with what we call top self, that opportunity to not only identify how you're feeling, but also to practice a skill. In the same way we might teach a kid to catch and throw and shoot a ball, we then teach them how to manage their emotions in high stress situations.
Thank you so much. Let's see. I see that Board Member Tatum has his hand up. Board Member Tatum, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I wonder if someone could describe like how the 2-for-1 sports programming exists in relationship with more sort of traditional school-based sports programming. Is this like filling a need where there's a gap in school-based, more traditional school-based programming, or is this supplemental? Is this more intramural, like after school program type thing where there's a parallel sports program that is more like what traditionally you see with like interscholastic athletics? Or could you just speak to like that connection?
Unless one of the, go ahead.
I can start and then you can jump in, Steve. I was just going to say from Breakthrough South, so something we heard loud and clear, because we're pre-K through 8th grade. And so already our middle schoolers are participating in the intramural middle school sports, which is great. We love that. But we heard loud and clear from our families through the climate survey that those middle grades, those like 2nd through 5th, 1st through 5th, those parents were really, really wanting something else for the kids. And at the time we really couldn't offer that. And so for us anyways, that really filled a huge need for families, to say, you know, we love 2-for-1 sports. Some of them had, you know, had exposure to it through like summer camps or seeing our middle schoolers participate. And so they really were so excited that we could add that for our younger grades, because right now, right, middle school sports is just for 6th, 7th, and 8th through the district.
I can kind of jump in too, Holly, from Breakthrough North. So I think the great thing about 2-for-1 and what you were asking, Stephen, was just that the children are exposed to sports that they aren't learning in like PE, or they aren't learning maybe in some of their neighborhoods where they might play on an organized team like soccer, basketball, baseball. These are all sports that are new to them and are like kind of outside the box a little bit. And so I love that for our kids. And so something I do recess duty every day. And something I see for them outside is that they're just not familiar with like how to play organized sports. And so this gives us a real opportunity for them to learn through 2-for-1 how to be on a team, how to play a collective sports, how to follow the rules of sports. And then the top self piece of it, we're both Holly and I schools are character education themed magnet schools. So that's a direct correlation to what we're teaching students around like self-regulation and developing those problem solving strategies too. So just that's some of the things that are really great about it.
The only other thing I would add, and thank you, Holly and Lisa, for that, is that we're trying to cast as wide a net as possible in terms of an introduction to sports. You know, part of our goal is to build some level of confidence so that when these kids get to middle school and or high school, that they have some understanding of the game, that they'll have the opportunity to try out. I mean, our goal is, you know, we're not looking to create Division I athletes. We're trying to get lifelong participants, but we also recognize that sport is the most natural and authentic setting for teaching social emotional learning, because in real time, kids get anxious, they get angry, they get over competitive, they don't think things are fair. So we can use those real emotions to teach the skills right in real time for them. And we get stories all the time about at recess, kids that go through the program teaching other kids how to calm down, how to self-regulate, and as Lisa said, how to organize themselves, right? How to pick sides, because that's another thing that is so adult-driven that we're trying to teach the kids how to organize their own games, and we're having a lot of success with that.
That's it. Very helpful. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. And let's see, I see Board Member Hockenhall. Your hand is up. You have the floor.
Thank you. And thank you for the presentation. It's super helpful. I just have 2 quick questions. I was wondering how the schools were chosen over the other magnet schools, like kind of why these 4 schools were the ones that were picked. And then also, do we have enough seats available for all the kids that want to participate? And how are students being funneled into it? Are they being recommended? Is it just based on if the parents want them to join? Like, kind of how are kids getting involved in the program?
I could take the first part. And so all of the magnet schools were given funding through the extracurricular magnet grant. And these 4 schools selected to use 2-for-1. So any of the schools that were given the funding could have selected to utilize 2-for-1, but they looked at the theme for their school. They looked at the need based on climate survey or academic data and went from there. And also these 4 schools had 2-for-1 sports last year as well through the extracurricular magnet grant. And then I'll turn it over to the schools or to Stephen, how people are selected the students are selected.
I mean, I could, I was just going to hop in and say, it is open to all the students in the school. It goes out through Parent Square. Oftentimes teachers who are running the programs or are familiar with it, principals might even recommend to certain kids or families that it would be a great option for them. I was just looking over the numbers. I mean, many of the programs we're running this fall have much higher enrollment right now. So it is really catching on, and, word of mouth and all of that as well between families, and any of the principals can add.
Yeah, I would say we have open enrollment for the whole year. So if a family member, if they can't join now, there would be a possibility of joining later, or if it works for their family now, but it doesn't work later, then that's what it is. We also did choose to do the program in the morning because that's a time where families are most available to be able to drop their kids off. It also helps with all of our schools start at 8:30, and that's a pretty difficult morning time for families if their kids aren't taking buses. So that's also a benefit to having a morning-based program for them.
Yeah, I would ditto everything that everyone said. The only other thing I would say is that the great thing is that we also have OpMad, which runs our before care program. So there's certain students that are already in that, and then they can do both. So if their parents needed them to be in morning care because they needed to be dropped off earlier, and then they also sign up for 2-for-1 sports, then or Top Self, then they can go, and we just make sure that the programs know which students are attending. And then the other thing I would say is we are doing the Saturday program as well. And so that's to maybe hit families that can't do the before or the after, before school or after school. So I love that we also are able to offer Saturdays, because for some families that might work better than if they can't do before or after. And we also just extended, I asked Steve and Carrie and Coach N, who runs our Top Self program, and I just advocated, we used to do it 2nd through 5th and for the morning program, and we extended it to 1st grade because we wanted to, felt like there's students that really need it, that can really benefit from that physical literacy in the morning, like such a great start to the day, especially our boys in 1st grade. And I knew there was going to be families that was interested, and I'm really glad that we extended it because now some of our 1st grade families have joined as well.
Thank you so much. And I see Board Member Walker has his hand up. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So a couple questions. One, I was reading that the 2-for-1 is part of the selection is that 2-for-1 was, I guess, indicated as part of the grant that it needed to be this particular provider. Is that accurate, or did I misread grant language?
No, they can, with the extracurricular magnet school grant, schools can select any provider for any thing connected to their school theme. It needs to be based off of increasing enrollment for magnet school programming, as well as like based off of parent surveys as wants or needs, in order so that they feel more connected to the school community, seeing as that the students are coming from not just Hartford, but surrounding towns. And so this provider was selected by those 4 schools to support based on parent request, prior work, and school need connected to their themes.
Okay. So a follow-up question is about the program benefits. You talked about survey results. What I get questioned about is can we spike this out like 2-for-1? There's a way in which there's several programs, after-school programs, Harvard Forums, and there are a number of programs that have chronic absenteeism and those other like areas, right, of engagement as their benefit. So is there a way in which we can spike out what's 2-for-1's like contribution to that?
I mean, we could look at, we have the survey data, which they surveyed just the students that are in 2-for-1 and only utilizing that program. So we could just be a little bit more strategic when we tease that data out to just kind of make sure that we're triangulating it and ensuring, to your point, Board Member Walker, that these students are not involved in any other programs in just 2-for-1.
Right. Right. I don't want to limit to just that, but often I have challenges in terms of, is that program delivering the benefit? Because clearly absenteeism is going down in the schools, but everyone claims credit for it. I guess So that would be an ask on that one, as we move forward, because these become continuations. My expectation would be that when we roll out the continuation, you start off with last year to this year, because I guess the question I would ask is formation of the programs. Like typically, if I think about typical sports, football team and high school basketball team or middle school team, those participants are part of the team the whole year. And so we can really track easily how those students got benefited. It's the same thing existing here, where the students kind of are participants week after week or with some regularity, or is it kind of just a walk up where it's a one-off or two-off? How is it structured so that we can really show, benefits for the students who actually participate?
This, if you don't mind, I can share. So they, all the students who participate, their parents fill out a registration form, and it's a commitment to come. I mean, there are things obviously that might get in the way of a parent bringing a child in for a program, especially if it's on a Saturday maybe. But we typically have the same students who are attending day after day, week after week. And Carrie and Steve also have a survey that's given to students that does show growth. So that might be something to be able to share. I think it was spoken a little bit about, but just to show specific kids that are just in this program, how does the program impact their social emotional health? That might be helpful.
And yeah, and I would just add, we do take attendance every day. So, we do have a tracking of the students who are attending regularly or every day. Once a family has enrolled in the fall, they're automatically enrolled for the entire year. It doesn't mean they, so they don't have to re-register. They're just on the roster. And if, there may be a conversation, so-and-so is not going to come in the winter, but going to pick it back up in the spring. And we just make a note of that on the roster. So, so we can track for sure, because we have, we're taking attendance every day.
Well, and also because of our partnership with the schools, we're able to use Transact and PowerSchool to track different things. And that was one of your requests when we first came 2 years ago, was to make sure we were tracking that data. So much of what you saw, I mean, I'm an old school counselor and coach, right? And so I know exactly what you're saying. It's like so for me, I'm such a qualitative guy, and the quantitative stuff it's like beyond my brain. But I can tell you that one of the things that's special about the program is the kids the teachers are saying that kids are coming to school because of the program. And to your point, there is a connectedness piece to it because they feel safe. They come in, and this is their home base, and this is what makes them feel like they are part of a team, which again is our hope that when they get to middle and high school, that was such a profound experience for them. They're going to want to continue to be part of a school team as opposed to get involved in something they shouldn't be involved in, which is really one of the big benefits of sports, is so that kids feel part of that. But we get it. We understand the need for data, and that's why we've worked on that really well over the last 2 years, and we can get you specifics that we can.
Thank you.
I was just going to add one more piece, which is,
okay.
I think we all know that reducing chronic absentee rates is not a thing. It's a number of things put together. And so for me, as a principal, I want to create a system of tools that engage students in our building beyond just the everyday academics. So 2-for-1 is certainly a piece of a number of different things that we do at our school and the other principals do and the other schools do, because we know if we can engage students, they're going to come. Sports is a mechanism to engage them. And we've been lucky enough to have this partnership with 2-for-1, and we've seen what it does for our students. And does it engage all of them? No, but it's a tool to engage some of them and get them there every day. But that's why we have a breadth of programming and not just limited to a thing.
Thank you. I appreciate all the comments. What Steve Walt indicated, and given the structure, I think it'd be exciting to really get that data that shows the benefit that was talked about. I think these programs are much easier to continue to fund and to promote when there's really definitive evidence of student A went from this point to this point and really had a definitive impact on their lives. And so I would celebrate that data being provided and then being really incorporated, because that's really the thing we're trying to me promote here. This is a continuation. So to a certain degree, we believe in the program. I think its benefit and the growth and impact is really, I think, what sells it and moving, forward. And then I think Principal Jacobson, I think the idea of knitting this with other programs to show the overall network of things you have and its overall impact also adds benefit to say, okay, these 5 things collectively have this huge impact. So I would feel more inclined to support them all because so I just want to leave it there. So thank you for that. And I would be really excited to see that kind of data.
I'll just add something quick, and Steve and Carrie, you might already do this, but I was just thinking like from a magnet principal perspective, like whenever we're doing our marketing, right, we're always getting like testimonials from parents and students. And that would be great to get. I think you probably already do this, but maybe get even more. Like maybe we can get some video clips and some testimonials from kids throughout every school, because I think that their stories are very powerful too.
Yes, thanks, Holly. We do it to some extent. Our concern always is what do we then do with it, right? And to make sure that we have permission to post things or whatever. Because I'm an anecdote, I'm an old story guy, but I think that what Tyrone is saying is that also that the hard numbers to support the stories, and like you're saying with the testimonials, it's all good advice, because I think it goes back to what I think Francois, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, started with is, let's try to get the program into as many schools as possible. And the way to do that is to get good data and have good stories that align so that we can reach more kids. So really appreciate everyone's feedback on here tonight.
Yes, and I do too. So we can take the ideas we just had and we'll come back with some solutions.
Thank you so much for all of that, for all the questions, for the feedback, for the clarification. And Principal Jacobson, I'm still looking into coming to Noah Webster for that fencing class at some point, if time permits. So thank you everyone once again. So now we're going to move into our next agenda item, which is contract continuation approval relay GSE. And who will be presenting?
We're going to excuse ourselves, folks. Thank you all and have a good night.
I believe we'll turn this over to Ms. Nieves, and thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
The principals.
Hi, actually, I'll be presenting.
Oh, well, yeah, I figured your turn.
Okay, great. Great. Thanks. Christina's going to be the slide. All right, great. So good afternoon, committee members, and those of you joining us today. My name is Natalia Javier. I'm the talent recruiter in the Office of Talent Management for Hartford Public Schools, and I'm joined by Paul Foster, Connie Nieves, and Nancy Williams. Next slide. Okay, great. We are requesting approval to provide scholarships for the Relay Connecticut 24-25 school year cohort. The partnership's objective is to, 1, provide financial support for our non-certified staff seeking Connecticut's teacher certification, and 2, to continue to create diverse career pathways to help recruit and retain non-certified talent to Hartford Public Schools. And 3, to continue developing and supporting high-yielding grow your own programs for Hartford Public Schools. We currently have 26 Hartford Public Schools Relay Connecticut graduates and participants in rostered teacher vacancies within HBS, 4 of whom are current Year 2 participants teaching under the Resident Educator Certificate. And we had 9 non-certified staff enroll in the Year 1 program for this school year. The total scholarship funding request amount is $99,174 that will be split between special funds from the Alliance grant and the general budget. The contract term is for 1 year and has been renewed each school year for the past 9 years that we've been in partnership with them. And there was a delay this year in requesting the board approval as we were waiting to identify grant funding that was just recently approved. Next slide. Okay, great. The Relay Connecticut Partnership and OTM's request for scholarship funding approval aligns with the district's priority 4, which is skillful staff and effective operations. Next slide. Next slide. Thanks. Amidst teacher shortages nationwide, enrollment in traditional educator preparation programs continues to decline. Many prospective teachers find the significant financial barriers of traditional preparation programs too steep to enter. These barriers, which include tuition costs, loss of full-time employment, and loss of benefits, can be mitigated by providing financial support to staff members interested in participating in Relay Connecticut. Relay is a job-embedded educator preparation program for staff members in partner districts. Staff members are able to maintain their full-time position while taking online evening classes and participating in critical practice at their current location. Despite being a job-embedded program, the out-of-pocket costs are still significant and prohibit some participants from registering for or continuing classes. Tuition for the 24-25 school year has increased, and AmeriCorps has changed their qualifications for their stipend, which previous participants have received. We have been providing scholarships for the participants since 2022 and have seen an increase in non-certified HPS participation, especially from staff of color. Providing financial support for the 24-25 cohort of candidates will result in up to 10 newly certified teachers. These teachers in turn will make a minimum of 2 to 3 year commitment to teaching in Hartford Public Schools. Next slide. Relay's programs prepare teachers and leaders to build a more just world where every student has a clear path to fulfilling life. Relay provides multiple pathways for staff to become certified in math, science, English language arts, and/or elementary education, and they also provide support to participants throughout the certification process. The Masters of Certification pathway is a 24-month program. Upon completion, participants should be eligible for the initial educator certification and will be awarded a Master's of Arts in Teaching. The post-baccalaureate pathway is an 18-month program. Upon completion, participants should be eligible for an initial educator certification. Hartford Public Schools is responsible for assigning participants to Team Trained Mentor to serve as their resident advisor. HPS attends biweekly check-ins with the Relay Director of Partnerships to receive updates on participant progress, as well as selection for upcoming cohorts. And HPS will attend additional check-ins for individual participants on an as-needed basis. Next slide. Relay will provide a pathway to certification and development for non-certified staff members. Our partnership provides a valuable career ladder for non-certified staff, including paraeducators, CDAs, behavior techs, and school safety officers. First-year Relay participants can expect to attend 3 virtual classes a week, 2 in the evenings and 1 on Fridays during the workday. As part of this partnership, HPS agrees to release participants from their normally assigned duties for 2.5 hours on Fridays to virtually attend their clinical practice. The out-of-pocket tuition for the first-year participants is $14,949 without the AmeriCorps award. The out-of-pocket tuition for second-year participants, including AmeriCorps, is $5,855, as second-year participants carry a smaller course load. We had 10 participants enrolled this school year in year 1 and year 2. 1 for math, and 9 in elementary, where currently we have 12 district vacancies, 4 of whom are interested in getting cross-endorsed in TESOL, where we currently have 7 vacancies. Next slide. Our current second-year participants will be eligible to transition to their initial certification at the end of the 24-25 school year. HPS will have played a major role in the certification of 3 new elementary teachers and 1 math teacher, which are some of the district's hardest to fill areas. Through Relay CT, we have homegrown teachers who represent our students and are already a valuable part of their community. By breaking down systemic and financial barriers, Relay CT aids in the certification of a diverse cohort of educators. 63% of Hartford Public School Relay participants identify as people of color, compared to 32% of the new teachers and 31% of teachers overall for last school year. Relay CT's 24-25 cohort is 70% people of color, compared to 35% of new teachers and 32% overall for the 25-25 school year thus far. The data above shows the consistent increase in not only the number of diverse new teachers we hire, but also in an increase in the diversity of our teacher staff overall. Next slide. As one of Hartford Public Schools' Grow Your Own programs, Relay has graduated and hired 33 participants. Of those, 26 are still teaching here in Hartford Public Schools. Last year's 23-24 cohort graduates, 100% of them, of those participants transitioned into their non-certified role, out of their non-certified role into a resident educator certificate and being one of the teachers of record here in the district. Our goal for the next cohort is to meet or exceed 85% of participants transitioning to the resident educator certificate or initial certificate. As our partnership continues, we will maintain accurate EEO data on Relay participants each school year, as well as the same data for new teachers hired to the district each school year. We want to see the percentages of BIPOC teachers overall and new teachers each school year increase as Relay participants continue to successfully complete the program, receive certification, and are hired to current vacancies in the district. Relay CT has been a valuable partner in our efforts to increase teacher staff diversity and provide an alternate route to certification that meets the needs of our diverse non-certified staff. And next slide. Any questions?
Thank you so much for that presentation. It was very informative. I have a question before I open it up to anyone else. If you have someone who has successfully completed the program and they decide to leave, what happens?
Well, they have to sign an agreement with us to work in the district for 2 to 3 years. So if they decide to leave, I believe that they have to pay back the scholarship that we awarded them.
Okay, and thank you so much. And one more question. With regards to teachers who were, who did go through the Relay program and they were certified as say TESOL, for example, and they've been moved around to fill other vacancies, what's happening with that? Or are you utilizing all of the teachers who have gone through the program successfully and they have, they have a certain certification, specific certification?
I believe that we're utilizing all of the teachers that have graduated from the program that are still eligible to work here in the district. Anyone's in good standing, they are working in the district. There have been a few people that may have left the district for a variety of reasons, but everyone in good standing that wants to be in the district, we are utilizing them. And unless anyone else wants to hop in and say something different.
Okay, thank you very much. Board Member Walker, you have the floor. I see your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So, Natalie, great presentation.
Thank you.
Love the program. My question is about applicants versus, I guess, admits. Do you track data on that? How many people are trying to get in?
We track data on everyone that ends up enrolling in the program. We do keep some information each school year for folks who are interested in the program, but we maintain accurate data for those who actually apply and then they enroll in the program. We do have some candidates who apply to the program but then aren't admitted due to their GPA requirements, financial issues, because previous years we may not have been able to provide scholarships. We just started providing them in 2022. So we do keep a track of participants. We have like a big spreadsheet that has all of the information for everyone who's enrolled in the program since the start.
So I guess follow-up question and comment. The question is there a way to scale this program up? It seems quite successful. The only feedback that I've gotten is from folks, and this is maybe the onesie twosie, right? Person who can't get in, because we have very talented people who, for whatever reason, 0.2 of a grade point average or something like that, and or some due date that somehow wasn't completed. I'm trying to figure out, is there some space in this program, given the success, to have some flexibility there, because these folks want to do it. They seem to have the chops, and I'm just wondering, is your team looking at scaling the program a bit and trying to find ways to get all these folks to be participants and become future teachers for us?
Absolutely. So we host information sessions throughout the school year to inform our non-certified staff and those who want to participate. And we also, Relay has their own info sessions, and then we also host our own HPS specific info sessions, both virtually and in person, for people to ask questions and have to see if they qualify for the program. We also, I'm sorry, can you repeat the second part of the question?
Well, I guess what I'm asking too is, let's say if your requirement is like 2.9 and someone has 2.8, for instance, between Relay and the district, is there some analysis around, hey, if the program is successful, is there a way we can loosen some data to bring in a broader range of people?
Right? There is more flexibility, I think, in Relay than in some of the other programs, and that's the reason why, but they do have state requirements. So I think it's a 2.7 or 2.75, which provides a lot of flexibility for people to be able to enroll in the program. Relay also has staggered enrollment dates, so they can start the program in the summer, they can start the program in the fall, and they can start the program in the spring, which is really great for our staff. Provides a lot of flexibility for them to start the program throughout the school year. The major barrier that we've seen is really financial, because Relay is so flexible in allowing students and participants to stay in their current jobs and do student teaching without having to leave their current positions. It has a lot of interest, but finances have been a really big barrier, and that's the reason why we're requesting the scholarship. We have not been able to provide scholarships every year. This is something new that the district has been providing. And so with increased funds and increased opportunities to provide scholarships, we'll have an increase in students and staff being able to participate.
I just want to hop on a little bit and just expand a little bit more on the requirement that Relay has for the GPA. It's mandated by the State Department of Ed, so they can't even switch it. But what the state does allow is a caveat. So for 10% of students, or excuse me, applicants who apply to Relay, if they do not meet the required GPA, they can allow up to 10% of staff who do not meet that GPA. However, it's a 1 to 10 ratio. So whereas a couple of years ago, we did have, I think, almost 5 people on the waiting list, but because their GPA did not meet the standard and they didn't have enough people enrolled in Relay to meet that 10 to 1 ratio, we weren't able to advance those folks into the program. So as part of our efforts to grow our own, Relay does a great job, but we also understand that everyone needs a different program. Everyone has different needs. So what we're also looking at is expanding and creating some apprenticeship programs with other universities who also offer areas that Relay doesn't provide certification in, because Relay provides certification in elementary, English language arts, sciences, and math. But we also have a need for special education. We also have a need in other areas, even physical education. So we're trying to look at different ways and also funding sources for that work, because the feedback that we've gotten from staff, and we're actually about to be sending out a survey to our non-certified staff to ask them about their interest in becoming a certified teacher here. A barrier that does continue to come up is the financial piece of that. We do offer tuition reimbursement, but for a lot of folks, it's the upfront money and the upfront cost that is prohibitive.
Yeah, thank you very, very much for that. So to clarify, so this funding would help deal with that upfront piece?
The overall cost, yes, it will help. If we provide
upfront.
scholarships, yes,
On the
they'll be
upfront.
able to. We've had candidates in the past have to withdraw from the program due to lack of funding. So we want to encourage all of the folks that are enrolled as of right now to be able to continue the program and not have finances be a barrier. Any other questions?
I don't see any more hands up, so I believe we are good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Christina, if you can. Oh, I'm sorry. Christina, thank you. That's it. I see it. And our final agenda item is student services and SPED overview. And who will be presenting for that?
That would be Ms. Jennifer Hoffman.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Jen Hoffman, Assistant Superintendent for Special Education and Pupil Services for the district. Tonight, we're going to just walk through a high-level overview of our special education services in district. Christina, we can go to the next slide. High-level overview of our services in district for our gen ed students and our special education students, highlighting our existing in-district services, identifying challenges and opportunities, and then looking forward to our contracted services. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. So overall, our philosophy of services really focuses on our goal to ensure that all students with disabilities in our district have access to and benefit from their general ed curriculum. So when we talk about our settings, we are really looking at our students who are with us in district, but also our identified students who may receive their services in magnet schools in district, magnet schools outside of our district, open choice, and in neighboring communities. If I step back and again, just take a very high level overview, we have talked about our multi-tiered systems of support before our MTSS system. This system really ensures that all students, whether they are identified or not, receive their instruction in our gen ed setting, in our tier 1 setting for all students. But if there are concerns with academic or social, emotional, or behavioral concerns, there are interventions in place through our tier 2 or tier 3 systems those opportunities provide students either a small group or very intense interventions to support their learning or social, emotional, behavioral needs in that gen ed setting. If at a point the team in a particular school finds that a student may need additional supports, or if a parent is concerned about progress that their child is or is not making, there's always an opportunity for a referral to be made to a planning and placement team, which is a PPT. Evaluations may be in place, and then there's a process that that team will go through to determine whether or not that student is eligible for special education services. Again, we want to provide students with a range of opportunities. So along this continuum, students will have an opportunity to interact with their typical peers, but also gain supports, like I said, in the academic or social, emotional, behavioral realms. We can go to the next slide, Christina. Thank you. So when we talk about students that are identified or eligible for special education services, we do have a continuum of supports which we have in place in all schools. At the most inclusive point, we have students that receive all of their instruction in that tier one setting. And that is really the most effective way to deliver services. It allows students to be with their typical peers, to learn from their classroom teacher, as well as other special education support services. Students can also receive services in in a resource room setting, which is typically outside of a general ed classroom. We also have in-district programming for a variety of needs. We have a RISE program, which is at the elementary, middle, and high school level. And that really focuses on student needs at the social, emotional, and behavioral level. They might need a higher level of support, so they might receive their services in a smaller setting. We also have an iGoal program, which again is at an elementary, middle, and high school level. And this is for our learners with complex cognitive needs. And again, in a very small setting with opportunities to be with their typical peers. We also have at the very end of our school experience is our STEP program, which is our transition program for students that are 18 to 22. And that really gets them ready for adult life and being participants in their communities. So for students who move through this continuous services, there is always a very prescribed way we go about collecting data, reviewing evaluations, reviewing modifications or services that need to be implemented. But again, it's not just the same every single year for students. We really find ways to ensure that their program is in the least restrictive environment, which provides them a free and appropriate public education, but also allows them to learn and grow in their community. Thank you. So this slide just gives an overview on our in-district services. Again, our three main programs, but also including, and I don't like to call this a program, but it is a little bit of a different approach that we've put in place with our transition learning resource rooms down at the bottom. Those are settings where typically our kindergarten or first grade students might need a little bit of extra support, but it is those classrooms are created in the gen ed setting. Students may spend a little bit of time outside of their general ed classroom in the resource room, receiving some specialized instruction, and then they're back with their peers for the remainder of the day. But this just gives an overview of the number of locations we have our programs in across the district, the max capacity for the classrooms at each site, and then the vacancies that we have in place currently for those programs. Additionally, we have talked before about our speech and language clinician needs across the district. We do continue to face vacancies in this area. Currently, we have 20.3 positions hired staff for Hartford Public Schools, and we are currently using contracts to fill our 31.1 positions to support students. We do continue to see a need. We brought some information from ASHA, which is the American Speech and Language Hearing Association. It's really the guiding force, I think, in the country regarding speech and language. Really showing that there is just a drop in the number of people that apply to get into a grad program for speech and language. And then I'm going to say a low percentage of graduates that go into a school setting to provide services for students. I did include two links. One is from the Labor Board, and the other is just an article regarding just, I think, overall need for speech and language clinicians across the country. We know that speech and language clinicians have a variety of settings that they could work in, and schools are not always their first choice. So that does provide some background about where they could be also looking to support students. We can go to the next slide. Thanks. In terms of current positions, again, these are, well, I'm going to start with this. The speech and language and our special education teacher vacancies are definitely ones that we are focused on and have the most difficulty with at the current moment. Again, we have filled speech and language with our contracts, so it looks like on paper that we don't have vacancies, but we do. We would like to be able to hire our own. If I drop down to special education teachers, that is definitely another area of shortage that we've seen this past year. It's been very difficult across the state to hire special education teachers. I included para educators. However, before I put this slide deck together, just very late last week, we had an MOU signed that gave us additional flexibilities to hire paraeducators. It is actually a great step in the right direction, and we're appreciative that we have this opportunity to really give people some flexibility, give them some flexibility in completing the para pro, which is a state requirement. So this, I'm hoping, is going to change over the next few weeks as we are able to hire additional staff. And again, just give them some flexibility in the timeline they have to either complete the para pro or complete some coursework behind them. So again, just as we look for, toward this school year, our speech and language clinicians, our special education teachers, we do have contracts for our board certified behavior analysts, which support classrooms primarily at the, I'm going to say lower elementary level, but also some of our programs as well. I'm not sure if Natalie's still on the call, but as we partner with OTM, they have hosted a number of events last year, which again, as she spoke about, that partnership with Relay, really finding ways to include our current staff in some of those opportunities. I had mentioned an opportunity again, very late last week, we added that there was a change for the MOU for paraeducators. So that is definitely an opportunity we can move in the right direction on. And then again, an opportunity is to, continue the contracts that we have for our speech and language clinicians. So really, the hope is that we, focus there and are able to hire our own staff for definitely special education teachers and paraeducators. But again, looking for additional opportunities to, work throughout the remainder of the school year. I think, Christina, that might be, yep, that's the last slide. Okay. Okay. So I can take questions. That was a very high level overview of just where we are so far in the school year with our in-district programming, but also supporting students.
Thank you so much for that presentation, for that information. I do see Board Member Tatum with hand up. Board Member Tatum, you have.
Thank you. Obviously, like special education services are an area that demands a lot of attention and advocacy on the part of us as a board and I would say district staff as well. I think it's safe to say that it's one of the greatest challenges that we're facing as a district right now. My question is, like, what information can you provide us that would help our advocacy efforts here? Like, what are the real critical pieces of information that we need to understand as a board in order to understand what is happening now and what could possibly improve things? I think the information about vacancies is helpful, but that only scratches the surface. Could you help us try try to like maybe get, I know you were trying to give a top level view. I'm trying to get maybe just one level deeper. What can we make sense of in the information that you're sharing with us? And if there's other information that you think would be more helpful to us, I would love to hear that.
I think at the most basic level, truly understanding that there is a continuum of need in the district. We have students that come to us with very high need, that have very complex needs, that need a number of supports. So that's at a staffing level, that's at a fiscal level, all the way down to kids that are ready to move off into either college, post-grad, or post-secondary learning. So there's a variety. I think that's the biggest thing I need to point across, is that it's challenging where we have a large district, so it's challenging. We have a large number of students that have a variety of needs. That's, I think, where I can start. For me, this type of question, like, really, I'd like to be able to like spend some time on it and get back to the team. I just want to make sure that I can give enough information to give that broad brush of information, without spending, a lot of time tonight to do it. But I can certainly come back with more information.
Yeah, I think we would all appreciate that as we spend more time on our own. I think kind of trying to understand the situation better and get better educated ourselves on what's going on. I think more specific and granular discussion about like what are we really experiencing in Hartford with regard to special education services? How much is related to funding? How much is related to processes? And I know that there's been, special education services was part of the like state audit, and I haven't heard much of an update from that process yet. So maybe there's some way to combine report back from that process with us diving deeper into that. But I would just like to flag it as something that I think we and the public would benefit from a better understanding of like the state of things.
Absolutely. I can absolutely get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Board Member Tatum. And I see Board Member Walker has his hand up. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy Superintendent Hoffman, I think my first question is about speech and language pathologists. We approve somewhere between $3 to $5 million for those contracted speech and language pathologists. Just anecdotally talked to a couple folks in October. There were a couple schools that did not have a speech and language pathologist, and so I'm just trying to figure out how that process worked. The reason I thought we were approving the money is to make it so that we could quickly at least deploy, SLPs to where they're needed. Is it more complex than what I think to get a language pathologist like deployed to an individual school situation?
It is a little bit more than just hiring a person. We really just take a look at the number of students that need speech and language services in the building, and depending on the hours that are on their IEP, we do have some schools that are split with speech and language clinicians. So it's around scheduling the building schedules, it's around the student schedules and the students' IEPs. So it does take some time. Right now, I believe we have clinicians in all buildings. Some of them are virtual, but I think all students right now And I will double check on that, but right now I believe we have clinicians in all buildings.
Thank you. So I think kind of follow up what Member Tatum was saying. To me, I'd appreciate maybe almost like a workshop level discussion where we can just understand a little more broadly how SPED is working in the district. I realize we can't get deep into it at this kind of just meeting structure, but because the other thing I want to just ask about is compliance. Everyone knows IDEA is a thing. I got a little education from talking to like practitioners to understand that we have like compliance folks, compliance managers, the people who track compliance. So I'm wanting to know, can we get data from them? The thing that I heard last semester that had me scratching my head, and I think we still have right now, is this idea of IOUs. This idea that people are owed services but aren't provided services for shortage reasons. I mean, it's not that we don't care about students. There's literally shortages, but as the board member, can we get data on that? Because to me, an IOU to me feels like an admission that we may be approaching a compliance concern, right? And so that's something we should at least be aware of, and again, maybe talk about maybe outside of the setting, but you get to my point. So IOUs being tracked now, I guess I'll ask you that question. Are they being tracked, and I guess, or at least like parents being notified if that's like happening?
Yes, and that has been happening. Anytime we either have a vacancy or have a situation where services are owed, the school does track those and parents are notified. It could happen at the level with the case manager. It could also be in combination with the special education director as well. But yes, we're tracking all of that.
So then I just request that if we have a workshop, that add that to it too, so we can understand
Sure.
And be comfortable that we're going to stay within our compliance requirements. So I think
Absolutely.
that'll be it from me this evening. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Board Member Walker. And I don't see any more hands up. And I believe that was the last agenda item. Thank you so much for attending.